Hi, and welcome back to the Switch Show. So, this is the continuation of our series on seasons. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the Switch Show. My name is Malise Chinoyenwafo, and I am the solo host of the Switch Show. If this is your second, third, or maybe you keep coming back, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in every other day to the Switch Show. And yeah, welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode. So without further ado, let's just head into the topic of the day. So if you've been following, we made an episode at the first Thursday of April, the first week of April, and we're starting a series called Seasons, where we run through 4 seasons and draw correlations between those seasons and our lives as people. And I've been saying that I'm just going to do a brief recap. If you've not listened to Spring, you should, because it's going to be the recap is not going to be as in depth as the main podcast. But I said something about me not. I've not had first-hand experiences with the 4 seasons, but there is the advent of research, movies, and folks that have actually experienced these seasons. I don't have first-hand experience, but yeah, I have some kind of knowledge, and from my knowledge from movies and the rest of it, there is a knowledge of a correlation between these seasons and our lives. Yes, as I said, I'm a Nigerian, and typically in Nigeria we have only 2 seasons, which is the rainy season and the dry season, and usually springtime correlates with the rainy season in Nigeria. So yeah, just do well to listen to Spring. It's spring season. That was the previous episode before this one. So yeah, you should listen to it so that you don't get lost in the series. So yeah, and today we're going to talk about summer. That was a rather long intro, am I right? I should have kept the intro very concise, but yeah, you guys get the point. I was just trying to do a little recap. But anyway, we're talking about summer today. And summer is like almost everybody's favorite season. But my favorite season, in case you guys wanted to know, my favorite season is winter actually. I don't really like the heat. I prefer cold, where I have to, wrap myself up in a sweater or slide under a duvet with some hot chocolate or something. That is my go-to type of weather. But regardless, I can't escape the heat. I can't just jump from winter to winter. I can't have winter all the days of my life. But yeah, so today we're talking about summer, which is arguably everyone's favorite season. Summer in climatology is the season of the year between spring and autumn, during which temperatures are warmer than any other time in the year. The concept of summer in European languages is associated with growth and maturity. There's an increase in activity during the summer season. So yeah, I just read what's the word for it? A commentary on summer that was, I think I saw on Britannica.com. So yeah, we are examining the climatic aspect of things just to give you context of what these seasons are. So we see that, according to climatology and the observation of temperature changes and all that stuff, it gets warmer in the summer, and it's usually that time you see people flocking to the beaches. People are in bathing suits, in their swimsuits, trying to get their tan. Even before summer, mostly during the springtime, you see people hitting the gym, having stricter diets, doing all sorts of stuff just to get that summer body, if you know what I mean. I don't really do that type of stuff anyway. I'm not really a summer freak. But yeah, but there are people that do things, to prepare for summer, because summer is where there is heightened activity. There is, I put it in my notes here that tourism is at its peak during this season. You find a lot of people traveling. You find out that the cost of things are usually on the high rise because there's now a high demand for things like bathing suits, air tickets, and a whole lot of other stuff. So, how does this season correlate with our lives, you may ask? Now, like I said in spring, I said spring in European cultures, spring is in some European cultures, the concept of spring is associated with seed sowing. Now here is in same European languages, sorry, it's associated with growth and maturity. So in this season, like in spring, flowers start to bloom. In summer, flowers still bloom. Actually, flowers are still blooming. Some, will I say, crops are ripening, some fruits are ripening, some crops are becoming increasingly evident, their growth is evident. So in our lives, I would say that summer season is a period where after our spring season, we're now in a period where there's a threshold of maturity. So to say, there's a threshold that we've reached in maturity. We speak more, like say, fluently. We are more active. That's the word. We are more active. We've generated resources, we've gathered skills, we've honed some talents, we've developed the talents, we've looked at some of the dormant areas in our lives, and we've improved on it. So there is evidential improvement. That's one of the concepts we'll be looking at in this episode. So yes, there is an evidence that there is growth. It's not just, like I said in spring, you don't just feel like you're growing. It's not something that you alone will be like, oh, I feel like I'm doing so well. And why it is good to be confident, to validate your efforts and everything. These efforts won't just be something that you alone are seeing. To be something that people around you can see, people around you can attest to. Well, I say this is spring and summer is like the season of manifestations, the season of, I said spotlights in the last episode, and I said something that a lot of people don't like the word spotlights, but for a lack of better words, I'll say this is a season of being in the spotlight. You've gone past the preparation stage. You've gone past, when I say preparation, there are certain seasons. That's why we're talking about seasons. Come on, there are certain seasons, or there are certain times in your life where you need to prepare for what is coming next. From the words of wise King Solomon, he says in the Bible book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1, he says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose. When he says purpose, when he says to everything there is a season, this talks about events, this talks about life changing, life altering decisions. This talks about circumstances. This talks about everything you can think about that goes on in the confines of the earth. So to everything there is a season, and there is a time to every purpose under the heaven. So after you've gone past your preparation stage, which we'll look at it when we're talking about autumn and winter, because when people think about autumn and winter, we'll talk about it that it's usually seen as a stage of decline or dormancy, but quite the contrary. There are some things about those two seasons that affect spring and summertime, your spring and summertime. So yeah, like I said, let's consider two concepts. There are actually two concepts I want us to consider. There's growth and maturity, and there is evidential improvement. So similar to the trend we've started, where we address three focal points: career, family, relationship. How does the growth and maturity interface with your career, your family, and your relationship? Now, in your career, take for example, as a computer scientist. So for example, now I'm just trying to gather my examples. Everything is just all up in the air, so pardon the pauses and the stutters. So yeah, let's say I'm working in the cybersecurity firm in a cybersecurity firm. So we've examined some, let's say, cyber attacks and some cyber threats to our company's database and all that other stuff. So our preparation stage our preparation stage will be seen as the time where we examine these attacks, we see where they are coming from, and we are trying to prepare on how to ward off, you know, recent attacks, or let's say future attacks. Sorry. So me personally, as a cybersecurity expert, I've gone and I've developed my skills. Now it is time for me to come to the fore. I can't just feel like I'm growing. I can't just tell people, oh, I've gotten heightened knowledge or I've gotten an advantage that can help us ward off future cyber attacks. I would actually show them what I have done. So there is an evidential maturity. Similarly to families, I talked about kids growing up. So your kid has gone probably beyond his infancy and toddler stage. He's becoming a child, a more active child. And now this is the period where they are making friends. This is the period where they are being more social. Even the ones that are introverts, they are now in school. There's a lot of activities going on. This is a period of development where their brain is taking on experiences. Majority of the things they would see during their summer season are the things that they would hold for life. Some of them, when we talk about, I'm not in a position to address mental health, give advice on mental health issues, but yeah, they are qualified professionals to do that. So I'll just touch a little bit on it. When we see things like trauma or PTSD, childhood trauma, all these things usually happen in a child's summer stage, in a child's summer season, because when there is a heightened activity, their brain undergoes radical changes. And in that time and in that period, there needs to be a certain level of caution and care when addressing a child's needs, wants, and the things that make them children, because they will see things that their friends are doing and they also want to repeat the same thing. So instead of brute force, there are ways to address certain things when they are at their most active stage, which is their summer season. And relationships, I read a book where it says the summer season is when everything is hot in the relationship. This is when all the roses are red and all the violets are blue. Sometimes it's even rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes, in fact, you are so lucky that you could have a 4-leaf clover. You are more lucky than a leprechaun. That is a stage in your relationship where everything, let's say, is just all right. There's hardly any, let's say, misunderstanding. There's hardly any trouble. There's hardly anything that would knock you off balance or something like that. So yeah, I just did a brief run through on summer. Actually, summer season is, how do I put this, it's not the one I was looking most forward to, so you'd pardon the fact that everything was a bit chaotic. Rightly so, the season is actually very chaotic, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse for the chaos, the little bit of chaos that was experienced in this episode. But yeah, since everything was here and there, you can actually find connections. You can find points of, a point of, let's say, balance when you go through the episode, probably more than once. You can listen to it more than once. You find a connection between summer and seasons in your life. And yes, seasons in your life, because some people might be in their summer season. This is a period where they're getting all the gigs, all the engagements. Even with your social media, let's put it that way. Even with your social media, there's a period where every single thing you drop, It seems like you're the trendiest person in the world. It seems like you have all the right tools to like you are an influencer. Every single thing you do, the whole world is at a standstill. The whole world is following your tracks. That could just be your summer season. And that hiatus you take from social media, that could be your autumn, your winter, trying to build up yourself for the many seasons that are ahead. But know this, these seasons aren't meant to be an excuse for lackluster attitudes or lackadaisical approaches to things. They're actually meant to give you an in-depth view or an understanding, probably not in-depth, but a little understanding or sufficiently enough for you to approach certain seasons in your life with more caution and for you to be introspective about it. Take a stock of your life, run an audit, examine your life with the things you've heard from this podcast, as I am also doing, because I do not know all the things. When the inspiration for this series came, also made me take an audit of my life. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to continuing this journey till the end of April. Stick around with us. We have 2 more seasons to cover, autumn and winter. I promise you I'm going to be more ecstatic about winter because winter is my season. Winter is the season I love, and I'm so looking forward to winter, even though we are still in April. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed your listen. Be sure to follow us on IG, The Switch, at theswitch.show. Yeah, at theswitch.show. We're trying to be more engaging on social media. I'm not really a social media person, but we're trying to be more social media friendly. So yeah, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Flip that switch and illuminate your world. God bless ya.